Hi, I'm Stephen Gunter. I'm the designer of career decision coaching, and today I'm going to talk to you about what's involved in becoming a career decision coach, what it involves, what it feels like, what it costs. So firstly, a little bit about me. I've had a pretty interesting career myself, starting with working on an organic fruit farm after I left high school, and then exploring a whole lot of different jobs and experiences in Sydney, in Australia, driving taxis, becoming a journalist, setting up a food cooperative, doing street theatre, studying clowning, and selling advertising, developing a seasonal signwriting business. I did a lot of things in my early 20s, and then I got married, had a child, settled down, and pursued counselling and therapy as a career. I then established a school of Gestalt therapy in Lismore, and I did some other entrepreneurial things like set up a vegetarian gelato cafe. I set up a master's in spiritual psychology degree in Los Angeles, and now I teach Gestalt therapy around the world. So certainly I followed my bliss, and sometimes it's been pretty challenging, hasn't always been smooth sailing. And that's really inspired me about career counselling, because I originally in 1992 attended a workshop with Richard Nelson Bowles, who is the author of an updated book, a book that's updated each year called What Colour Is Your Parachute? And that really deeply inspired me. I also had the privilege of meeting other greats in the field, such as Barbara Sher and Mark Savickas, and did a lot of training workshops, a lot of study, registered as a career counsellor. And I ran courses for a while, 12-week courses in career development for unemployed men, and also for 12-week courses for individuals, unemployed individuals. So I kind of honed and refined my process. And then at one point, Barbara Sher said to me, well, why don't you do it in one session? I thought, okay, why not? So I've condensed it into this extended session that takes 4 or 5 hours. But I find people are very satisfied with the outcomes. And I found that I could get a very a guaranteed satisfying result using a very focused and holistic process for decision making that I learned basically from Richard Nelson Bowles. So all that started almost 30 years ago, and about 5 years ago I decided to make the system available for other coaches, and hence I'm talking to you about the system. So what is career decision coaching? Well, it basically solves 2 client problems in one session. The first client problem is, how do I select a career? So this is about a process which leads to career decision making, helping people identify their ideal career path, and overcoming the obstacles, because there's a lot of things that get in the way, a lot of resistances people have to making a life decision like that, a lot of confusion, uncertainty, lack of confidence. So this system, career decision coaching, overcomes those obstacles through building up a comprehensive profile of the client, asking them to make small choices throughout the session, and finally, at the end, the choice is one the client makes themselves without even realizing they're doing it. That's the kind of trick. Otherwise, people would be very resistant. So we solve that problem in the session. The second problem is, how do I go about realizing this career? So we don't solve that in the session, but we do outline a whole series of steps how to actualize that career, and I give the client 134 pages to go away with that guides them through the process. So that's the system, and that's what it achieves. So why become a career decision coach? Well, professionally, if you're interested in helping people find their calling in life, this will allow you to do that. It can increase your professional earnings by adding another string to your bow, another set of skills that you can offer. And it does require, though, that you already have skills in working with people, establishing rapport, exploring experience. So there are, in a sense, a set of prerequisites to becoming a career decision coach. It doesn't just allow a kind of greenhorn to instantly become a people expert. You need some kind of qualifications or experience in working with others, whether that be social worker or therapist or career counsellor or maybe HR person working with case management or coaching. those kind of skills allow you to tune into people's worlds, actively listen, establish rapport, and get the right balance between sort of authority and pushiness and sensitivity and openness. So given that you've got those skills, to become a career decision coach, basically I've designed a complete system. There's a software that I put together that has 49 steps in it, which allow you to reach the outcome. Essentially what you're doing is you're asking a series of structured questions and writing down the client's answers. There's a script that I've developed that guides you through the process of getting to know the client. The questions are generally open-ended and they're many of them accompanied by handouts that the client looks at and makes choices from. The whole process is fairly straightforward actually, and I think relatively easy to learn. If you practice it with 3 or 4 people and watch a couple of my demonstration sessions, then I'd say within a week you'd be able to offer it professionally yourself. It's easy to find subjects. There's a lot of people that want to identify their ideal career path. So that's how to learn it and how to step into the field. The market for clients, important question. Well, for instance, in the US, there are a little over 11,000 counselling graduates per year, and out of those, there's 49 career counsellors. So there's not a big supply. Same thing in Europe. The demand for career guidance way outstrips the supply. Around the world, people need assistance with their next move in their careers, and there's surprisingly not a lot of competition. It's also a recession-proof activity, because in hard times people also are looking for work and they also need to decide on a different career path. I'm filming this at the time of COVID, and the research shows that a lot of people, having either lost their jobs or having a kind of interruption in their career, are rethinking what they really want to do. So there's a lot of opportunity. Often after losing a stable job, people are reconsidering what their life direction is. And stats show people change careers 5 or 6 times during a lifetime, and they change jobs 12 to 15 times in a lifetime. So there's a lot of movement and turnover, and people need support in that process. In terms of specifically where you get clients from, well, you may have a current or past client base, people that already know and trust you and may be interested in this as an additional service. And then there's a lot of people who want assistance in making a career decision. So, for instance, youth deciding on the right course of study, people have become unemployed, people who are unhappy with their job and want to change their career, they're burnt out or something, they don't know how to choose, parents who move back into the workforce. Sometimes I've worked with highly competent individuals who, I remember one senior manager who was in his mid-40s and he had 3 degrees, worked with a lot of top companies, and he could do just about anything, so he didn't know what to do. Complex skill sets, so this also, you can help that kind of person. In terms of what you can charge, well, usually career coaches charge by the hour and then have a package of 6 or 12 sessions. The average cost is around $200 an hour. That ranges from $100 to $500, and usually packages cost between $1,000 to $3,000 up to $5,000. So people pay a lot of money for these career services. In career decision coaching, it's a complete package. It's a one-off, and we're selling a specific outcome which we guarantee. I myself charge $750 for the session, which is a lot less than most coaching consultations. I charge that for probably 3 sessions, and they certainly wouldn't guarantee an outcome like that. And we also have a lot of ancillary materials that people get, very high quality. So, in this process, you could easily charge more, $1,000 or $1,500, let's say, for executive clients. What does it feel like to do career decision coaching? Well, I really enjoy it. It's a very meaningful way to contribute to a better world. Helping people arrive at the right career decision is a very rewarding experience for them and me. It's not problem-oriented. I don't discuss their problems or their obstacles specifically. The point of career decision coaching is to help people find work that makes them happy. For me, it complements my therapy work. The session's longer, it has a different pace, and it's kind of more relaxed. It's not a focus on feelings, and there is a specific and measurable goal that we come to at the end. whereas therapy is much more open-ended. This is a framework that you kind of step through. Now, there is one step which is creative brainstorming, but it's based on the relationship that's built over the course of the session. And that relationship and with the information that we uncover allows both the development of self-knowledge of the clients and for us to get to know them. There's a lot of books around that on career directions, but I find people really need this relational process to make a decision. So it's very enjoyable getting to people's deepest aspirations and helping them articulate them in terms of the fields they're fascinated by and finding the job titles that help them manifest their skill set. So the creative part I mentioned, which is just before they make the career decision, involves generating a list of job titles that's based on everything we've covered to date in that session. Now, this bit does involve the coach thinking very hard, taking the lead, coming up with as many sort of descriptions of job positions as possible, which would integrate all the person's interests. So that requires, some real application, because the rest of it is just stepping through these questions. How can I guarantee a result, and how can I promise that you can guarantee a result? Well, I've condensed my 30 years of professional experience into this package so that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Each step is very clearly spelled out and quite easy to follow. It's a holistic process. We can always guarantee a satisfactory result because the client themselves chooses their final career path, entirely based on what they love doing and what interests them. So that final choice is likely to be pretty solid. We just spent more than 3 hours getting acquainted with what it is they enjoy. And so the decision that's based on these factors carries a certain momentum with it. In 30 years, I've only been asked for a refund once, and that's by a mother who was unhappy with the decision her son had made. So I find people they're very satisfied with this. What actually happens in a career decision coaching session? Well, firstly, we take a personal background and history. We ask this preset questions about their preferences, their values, their personality, things they've achieved, their desired responsibility level, their projected income level, and their pleasurable skill sets. We then identify their preferences for work-life balance, describe their dreams, and at each stage there's this narrowing focus. We give them lists to choose from. So there's two card sorts that help them with their values, select values and skills. And finally, there's that step of generating a list of their favorite fields and the possible job titles from which they make their final choice. So the whole process is designed to bypass the resistance most people have to choosing. And I find the technique works each time because they make that decision without realizing it. Then the second phase, which is a shorter phase, is just outlining the steps, the practical steps for enabling them to manifest that career choice and make it a reality. We give them a lot of support materials, and they also take away with them the 120 pages of handouts that are used during the process, so they can review it themselves. The software generates a report of everything that was covered in the session, everything that was written down, and you then email it to them. And this can also generate further work because generally people will want help in implementing that in that next phase. So, you're going to be the one they're going to turn to. If you buy the course, the materials you get are basically the software package, which runs on a Mac or a PC and also an iPad, and guides you at each step. There's very detailed instructions about how to conduct the session, and you're prompted at each question as to what to ask. There's masters of all the handouts. There's the card sorts, including a customized online version that I've got. And you get a full listing of all the what are called the Holland codes, the occupational codes, personality types, wealth dynamics, and brand archetype profiles. You also get accompanying background notes, coach reference sheets and books. And I've done some demonstration sessions that you can view, and also an instructional video. In addition, you'll get some publicity templates for marketing the sessions. The computer program I've designed, I think it's quite easy to use. There's help on each screen, and you just type in the answers. Your only cost in running these sessions, probably about $10 to print off the handouts, and if it's a remote client, then there's no cost at all. So, how much does it cost to become a career decision coach? I'm charging $1,250 for a lifetime license as a career decision coach. That includes the package and unlimited software updates. There's no further fees involved, and I guarantee your money back if you're not completely satisfied in 30 days. I think it's the most complete package on the market, and it guarantees to bring you results every time. You can work with clients over the internet. You don't have to do it face-to-face, but as I've said before, you don't just leave them to answer some of the questions. It's 100% interactive, and so the time taken over the internet is not any shorter. And I really never recommend sending them away to do things. The success of the process is doing it with them. The philosophy behind the course, there's certain kind of beliefs or principles which underlie what it is that I put together. For certainly helping people find their passion in life and their true calling, and locating in the form of a career path. So this is about connecting a person's life purpose with what they really enjoy doing. That's what we start with. And we believe that it is possible for people to find or create that kind of work that expresses their deepest yearnings, their basic skills, their talents. It also meets a need in the world and is financially viable. The best support for a person in moving through the challenges of the education and job seeking process is having this kind of fire inside of them. And it's also very much got the ethos of proactivity, that the person goes out and they research and they investigate and they do these informational interviews. They don't just kind of look for job ads in a paper. Another belief or principle underneath is that the most important thing is doing what you love, because without that, you're just fulfilling other people's expectations or, social obligations or something. And, people become dead doing that, I think, really. Another fundamental principle is that this is not done on your own. This really needs support, perhaps, of a career counsellor such as yourself, and the ongoing unfolding of it, and certainly in terms of support teams, that the person gathers around them people who can help them and challenge them to achieve their career outcomes. The underlying ethos is one of authenticity, of really being fully yourself rather than following anybody else's expectations. That's why the expert model of career coaching, I don't think, is a good one. And finally, I always like to conclude with Joseph Campbell's dictum, follow your bliss. That's what this is about, and helping people follow their bliss. There's nothing better.